Welcome to the October edition of the Redland District Angling Association Fisheries Feedback. I'm afraid this month we've had to come inside because the weather's a tad inclement, so we're in our new classroom, paid for with a grant we got from the Angling Trust. Very good facility it is too. As usual, we'll be having a report from Del on the fisheries work that our team have been doing. We'll have our usual monthly fisheries photographic competition, and we'll be hearing about prospects for angling in the coming month from our Deputy Fishery Officer, Jem Stansfield. Well, Del, month of October, lots of high winds, a few trees falling down, plenty of leaves in the water, and of course we had this problem with the Kennet at Calcott, didn't we?
Yeah, where do we start with that? Go on, Bennett, it's been a hell of a week. 22nd of October, which was a Friday, we'd had a lot of rain the week previous and the bank collapsed just to the left-hand side of the fish ladder at Calcott Mill and caused a hell of a problem. The main river's dropped probably 3 to 4 feet, which in turn drops the head at Arrowhead, which feeds the Holy Brook. And the Holy Brook, as we all know, is a fantastic resource for juvenile fish and a decent fishery in its own right, to be fair. And it was essentially being starved of water. Now, you know, obviously I contact various people, the EA, CRT, etc. And they were dragging their heels, essentially arguing on who was responsible to fix it and this, that and the other. And these big firms, they're all the same. And you've got a class CRT and the EA as big firms, and they're all the same, and they're just trying to shift blame backwards and forwards, and consequently, you know, Rome's burning while they're doing this. So we thought that, you know, we needed to step in. Now I'm sure people have seen our video. I mean, that was pretty drastic, and it was a last resort by us because we just weren't getting anywhere. And things have moved on since then, and I'm glad to say that, you know, that was the sort of touch paper that, you know, got these guys to act.
So CRT have admitted that it is their liability, and you have got contractors coming along?
Not as yet. CRT are doing it without prejudice, which essentially means that, you know, they'll fix it and argue about it later on. But you know, I don't care. To be perfectly honest, I'm not fussed. Just get it done. You know, as I said in the videos, just get it done. Argue about it later on. You know, so it's quite nice to hear the same language coming out of our videos being replayed back to us. So they've obviously listened to our pleas, if you like, which is good. And you know, that's why we're here. We're here as custodians of the riverbanks and what have you, and that's how I see things. So, you know, we got to get involved in stuff like that.
So the EA, and you and I had discussions with both the EA and CRT. The EA fisheries have been pretty good. They were prepared, as I understand it, to do a fish rescue at the Holy Brook if necessary, but they've agreed to put pumps in and keep the head of water up in the Holy Brook until the breach is fixed on the main river. Is that the case? Yeah,
we've got 2 8-inch diesel-powered pumps up at Junction 12, which is right on the Arrowhead, fortunately, so that was quite easy logistically getting them in. And what they'll do is they'll take water from the main river and they'll put that, and that essentially will replace the head that's in the Holy Brook. So, you know, whilst the level in the Holy Brook will still be fairly low, it's not going to be catastrophic, which it could have been.
Absolutely. And we're hoping to see contractors on site when?
Yeah, well, I've got a big meeting tomorrow morning, actually, which will be the 2nd of November. Big meeting tomorrow with the contractors about access and the logistics, because it's really difficult to get to. This was the big problem. So we're going to be looking to get some vehicles down, some tracks. They've got tracked vehicles in. They know the problems. So we're having a big meeting down there tomorrow just to iron out a few bits and pieces. And they're looking to mobilise some plant on Wednesday with a view to sort of actually starting work sort of Thursday/Friday this week.
Oh, well, that's really good news, and, you know, well done for being so persistent. But the fact remains that we raised with them back, I think, in 2018, 2019, the very small breach that was there and how it needed to be repaired properly, and what we predicted actually came to pass.
Yeah, exactly. It's not rocket science, and you know, on one hand, I can accept that, you know, everyone's struggling for money and you've got to prioritise where you spend your money and things like this. But, you know, leaving things to the last minute like this, it's just ridiculous. And I think once all this is done, myself and yourself will have to sit down, and I think we really need to sort of take a few people to task over all this.
Well, absolutely. It could have been a disaster. But anyway, disaster averted. Other stuff you've been involved in, motorbike barriers?
Yeah, motorbike barriers. Anybody that fishes sort of Cottage Lane and Beat 3, Beat 2, along those sort of the connecting bit between, you know, Whitley and Southcote will, you know, they'll know about the motorbikes. It's a long-standing issue. As long as I can remember, it's been an issue. Well, we've got some new barriers going in. The council supplied some new barriers down at Beat 3. They're now looking at getting some for Southcote as well, just to try. We're never ever going to stop it, but if we can limit it, then, you know, we're on a win. So that's one thing. The other thing, again, our facilities down at Willmott are proving, you know, invaluable, and we hosted a group of Sparsholt students a couple of Fridays ago. They had a walk around the fishery. They had a particular task that they had to do, comparing different fisheries, that sort of thing. They come down, had a bacon sandwich, a cup of tea in the hut, get yourself down there, and basically compared the fisheries that we've got here, so Willmotts, Callows, Brownlee, and then the big lake. And then we sat in here for an hour, and they picked my brains for 10 minutes of that hour. So, you know.
I'm sure it was more than 10 minutes now. But I mean, just in case people don't realise, Sparsholt is one of the leading agricultural and fishery management colleges.
Yeah, I mean, it's a feather
country.
in our cap to be hosting that sort of stuff. You know, and you know, from a dimwit that come out of school with no qualifications, you know, I'm quite proud of the fact that people are asking my opinion on things.
Well, I'm sure even if they don't ask, you'll tell them.
Exactly that.
Okay, what about general maintenance? What have you, Jim, been up to?
Yeah, I mean, this time of the year, you know, again, we've got no real big projects. Next month is the start of our sort of projects, if you like. So it's just maintaining the status quo, just a bit of trimming, bit of strimming, bit of bank repair, this, that, and the other. You know, there's nothing hard and fast this sort of time of year. From sort of once we get the first cuts out of the way, sort of in June, from June around to about this time of the year, it's just maintaining status quo, really. So yeah, we'll be planning our bigger projects in the next. Well, we've planned them. So we'll be actually putting them into place in the next few weeks.
Fantastic. And lastly, we said we'd restart the Friday Club. When are you thinking it would be a good time to start that? Yeah,
well, we're going to start that next week, and I've forgotten the date already, so it'll be on your notes, on the 12th of November. So we're going to start the usually successful, to be fair, Friday clubs. It'll be meet down at Farnham Flint hut, 10 o'clock, you get a free cup of tea, free bacon roll. We flog you to death for a couple of hours, and then we leave you to go home. So, you know, it's a good day, and I jest, you know, you can come and you can do as little as much as you like. It's as much as anything, it's a social thing.
Well, it'd be great to see as many people as possible down at the Friday Club this Friday, the 12th of November, 10 o'clock, Farnham Flint hut. Well, that's great, Del. Thanks very much for that. Really appreciate it.
Right, and the winner of this month's photo competition, and I keep stressing every month, this is a photo competition, it's not a big fish competition, and it needs a smile. We're getting a lot of photographs, people on mats and things like that. Come on, get them up, get the smiles going. Anyway, so the winner this month is Rob Walton with a nice common carp he had from Willmotts. Rob puts stuff on most months, he'll put something on, so this month, Rob, you've got a choice of either some coarse fishing paraphernalia or some carp fishing paraphernalia, and of course something to keep that head of yours warm, a nice baseball cap.
Darryl, you talked about it not being a fish competition, and of course it isn't, but you know, I pulled off the photos from Facebook. It was a hell of a range of different species this year. I mean, we had Jem Fox, 15-pound barbel.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a hell of a fish for Jem, and one of our nicest anglers, one of our nicest members, and some of these big carp coming out of the Kennet.
Yeah, the carp, I mean, I've heard of carp coming out of the Kennet for years. I've even caught a couple myself, to be fair. But it's unusual to see people putting them up, and, you know, great. You know, I like to see carp coming out of the canal, it's good. I think all up, we've got 7 different species from roach right the way through to carp. There's a tench in there, there's the standard sort of perch and pike as well. But, you know, the diversity that you get within the Kennet, and largely they're all out of the Kennet, you know, is fantastic. And for a river that, you know, a lot of people poo-poo as being dead and finished and what have you, it's far from it. You know, you really need to get down there and have a go.
I was really surprised. I don't know if it made the top 10, but certainly one of the pictures we had on our Facebook page, a guy had his rod go round, thinking he was into a barbel. It was an 8-pound, 2-ounce tench in October. I mean, what's that all about?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's just, the diversity in the Kennet is just incredible. It's fantastic. Again, you know, whether they drop out of the canals at certain times, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, most of our Kennet venues, I know of tench that have been caught out of them at one point or another.
Well, we'll hear a bit more in a while from Jim on what he thinks likely to be coming out in the month of November. So
yeah, let's see if we can get, you know, more than 7 different species. It'd be good if we can go 8 or 9.
Perhaps we should have a species competition.
Maybe.
Thanks a lot, Del. Right, Jim, you're up now. Coming into the month of November, difficult conditions, of course. You know, weather changes all the time. What will be your recommendation to members? What sort of species do you think they should be targeting this time of year?
So this month, I'd say you want to be sort of targeting more the predatory side of the species. So your perch, your pike, and also your chub as well. Now we're getting these in the next month. I'm sure we're going to see a frost at some point. So as we get that first frost coming in, and the river's sort of just to start colour up a bit. As Martin mentioned to me earlier, you just want to be looking for that sort of bottly green colour in the river. Nice bit of flow, and yeah, you can definitely get yourself a few chub of an afternoon. For chub stretches, all of the River Thames stretches that we've got, Wallingford, Mapledurham, and lots of the Kennet stretches are all holding really good chub, so that's definitely a good shout. And for perch, I'd say all over, to be fair. The Thames, the Kennet, especially our canal venues, can hold perch to well in excess of £4 if you can be out there to find them. So especially for the guys roving with lure rods and things like that, they can definitely have a good afternoon jigging about with like sort of small drop shots and things like that, have a good few perch. And pike, well, I think we're pretty spoilt in the Redden area for pike. We've got, just in this vicinity here, we've got 5 massive gravel pits and all hold pike to, well in excess of £20, I'm sure. And again, lots of the canal venues as well, so plenty to go at in the months of November.
Jim, you mentioned chub and that sort of bottle green water. Is now that time of year that we should be going for the more traditional baits like bread and cheese when targeting chub? It's certainly been successful for me, but what's your view?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Cheese paste this time of year can be absolutely brilliant. Once the water's got that bit of colour in it, the fish they're on the bottom and they're sniffing out everything they can find. So anything with a bit of smell, definitely take it. The things like your high oil pellets and things like that, I'd scrap them out for the winter months and fish nice smelly baits.
Thanks, Jim. All right, those are great tips, and let's hope people are successful in November.
Yep, fingers crossed.
Well, that's it from us for this month. We haven't got tips, I'm afraid, to show you just now, but we are recording some tips on lure fishing. They will be published in the middle of the month. look out for them on our Facebook page, or even better, please subscribe to the Redland District YouTube channel. Hope you've enjoyed it and have a good time out there, and hope the weather's kind.